Howdy, hot shots. Coming to you from Not a Financial Advisor land with not financial advice. It's Kevin with Earth 2 Mastery, and it's time to flip a coin. So I want to talk to you about the tokenomics or the token metrics of Ecomi, which underpins the VeVe app. So if you've been watching any of my videos, you know that I've kind of taken a liking to this Ecomi coin. I have not been involved in cryptocurrencies that long. I got involved in cryptocurrencies because of Earth 2, which I feel like is going to be an NFT, or the tiles are going to be NFTs, and so they're going to be represented by tokens. So it got me interested in cryptocurrencies, and of course now I'm down the rabbit hole. Anyway, VeVe is an app where you can buy NFT collectibles. They've got plenty of great licenses. You can watch a couple of my other videos on that. Download the app, check it out. It's going to grow really big because of the licenses that they have. They're already dropping DC Comics stuff, Adventureland stuff, Ghostbusters, Tokidoki, Unicorno. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that's happening with VeVe, and Ecomi is the coin that underpins it. So that's why we're talking about Ecomi. Okay, so I want to go over, first off, how many Ecomi there are and where they're at. Okay, so initially there were 750 billion Ecomi. They had their initial coin offering and sold 110 billion of them to investors, people that had earlier access than you or I. Now there's 110 billion total in circulation. They have already burned 2 billion of those, so that number shrinks every day. Well, it didn't shrink the last 2 days because they're trying to calculate and tabulate, and then they'll burn them when they're done. But for now, they burned 2 billion that we know of, and they continue to burn them as people make purchases in the app, which is what we're going to go over in this video. Initially, they put 300 billion in the reserve wallet. So 40% of it is never going to see the light of day. As far as you and I are concerned, we can never purchase any of those Ecomi because they are in the reserve wallet. 40 billion of them were added to the vault wallet in order for initial liquidity. We cannot buy those tokens. Those tokens will eventually be burned. They will never be available to us. 20% of the tokens are held in reserves, not in the reserve wallet, but in reserves for business development or long-term initiatives, which means basically that if they want to negotiate for licensing, they want to negotiate with artists, they want to give bonuses to countries to allow them to move their currency back and forth, whatever they need to do for business development. Maybe they need to pay somebody to develop some software for them, pay some actors or something like that in order to get them to advertise for them, pay influencers. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it's all for business development. It's to help them grow the app and grow sales, which is good for you and I. Another 20% is held for their team, advisors, and board members, which probably means that they're going to give them bonuses similar to stock options for companies that are publicly traded. So they'll be giving them bonuses of Ecomi depending on how much performance the app has had, how many sales they've had, whatever contributions they've made to the team. We may have either of those types of coins filter into the marketplace eventually. The business development and the board members, those coins could eventually filter into the marketplace. They'll probably trickle in. There's probably not going to be a flood of them coming in because they're going to hold a bunch of them in reserves long term in order to help their business out over the years. It's probably not that they're going to give them all away year one and have 300 billion extra coins in circulation. So the number that we're most concerned with is this 110 billion, which is shrinking every day. Let's go take a look at how those are shrinking. Okay, so if you have purchased anything on the VeVe app, you know that the in-game stable or the in-app stable coin is called a gem. It's equivalent to $1 US. They use this coin for multiple purposes. We'll go over that in another video. But in order to buy one of the collectibles, you purchase gems, and then you use those gems to purchase the collectible. There are two different markets in the app. There is the store where you buy new collectibles from the VeVe app, and then there is the market, the secondary market, which currently is shut down because they're doing maintenance on it, but it'll be open again in a couple days. That's where you can auction off or do fixed price listings on collectibles that you've purchased already and sell them to other users for gems. So you have to have gems if you want to buy in the secondary market. You have to have gems if you want to buy in the primary market. Even if you just click your app and pay through the app, it converts to gems, and then it converts it converts your dollars to gems, and then it purchases the collectible. It's seamless and you don't notice it, but that's what it's doing. So let's go down here and look at this flow chart right here. This is using the example of a $10 in-app purchase. So a user buys 10 gems in the way of a $10 in-app purchase. 10 gems are sent directly to the user's gem wallet. So you've got your little gem wallet there. Your 10 gems are sitting there waiting for you to spend them if you ever want to. This purchase triggers a process to send the equivalent value in Ecomi from the in-app reserve. That's where they had those 40 billion, or that's where they had their 300 billion tokens in reserve. The 40% of tokens to begin with were sitting there in the in-app reserve. And it goes through the user's Ecomi wallet to the Ecomi vault. So it takes it from the reserve, it passes through the user's wallet, the Ecomi goes into the vault, and it sits there until if and when those gems are spent. So we had the 40 billion, I believe it was 40 billion tokens that were in the vault initially for liquidity. Once the user spends those gems, the corresponding Ecomi in the vault is exchanged for the NFT and then moved to the out of circulation wallet. So we think we're spending gems on the NFTs. They are converting gems to Ecomi out of the reserve balance, and then they are paying for the NFT with Ecomi by moving it to the out of circulation wallet, which will reduce the number of Ecomi that they have in reserves because they're out of circulation forever. So how do they top up their reserves? Well, they've got two ways that they top up their reserves. If you purchase new NFTs, they take 30% right off the top goes to the App Store. So they lose 30% of that. So in their example that they're using here, they are talking about $1,000 worth of gems, where 300 of those gems immediately are gone to the in-app costs to go to the App Store. Out of the rest of that, if they purchase a new NFT, 10% of those gems go to purchasing Ecomi from the secondary market and bringing them in so that they can put them in the in-app reserve so that they have tokens to then burn later when people buy more gems. It looks like I got stuck there. Let me shut that down real quick. And there I am again. Sometimes that happens. All right, so they use those 10% that they purchase in the secondary market to then pad their in-app reserves. If you use those gems in the secondary market, okay, then they go and spend the remainder of the amount outside of the app fees on repurchasing Ecomi. So here's what happens. 100% of the sales in the app, no matter what, worth of Ecomi are burnt. That's the way I understand it. You can correct me if you think that I'm wrong down below. 100% of the in-app gem sales in Ecomi will eventually be burned when those gems are spent. Those come out of the reserve, those 300 billion plus the 40 billion in liquidity, plus whatever they have accumulated out of the secondary market. 100% of that money goes into the out of circulation area and are burned. Out of the secondary market, 10% of new sales are purchased back to put in reserves that will eventually be burned. and 70% of secondary marketplace tokens, of dollars worth of tokens, will be purchased from the secondary market and brought into the reserve, never to be sold to the public again, and will eventually be burned based on in-app gem sales. So 100% of the in-app sales are not being pulled from the secondary market. They are being burned. The total supply is reduced, but it's coming out of the in-app reserves. They believe that that the secondary market is going to be twice as big as the primary market. I think it could be well over that with the rise in prices of the NFTs. If you're selling NFTs for 15 or 20 times the original price, it doesn't take very many of those sales to overcast the original sales. So it could very well be much bigger than 2 times. But 10% of the new sales are used to purchase Ecomi from the secondary market, and 70% of the secondary market in the app, the user-to-user sales, 70% of those are used to purchase Ecomi from the secondary market, where you and I can purchase the Ecomi on the exchanges and stuff. So the gems are always $1. As Ecomi goes up in price, fewer of them per gem will be burned. But there are many more users coming into the app, so it should even out. Hopefully it grows fast enough that it even overshadows the growth of Ecomi, so that enough of them keep getting burned that it keeps the market cap at something sustainable, so that we can have continued growth in the price of Ecomi. But I wanted to go over how there was a lot of confusion. I was confused. Somebody was saying that I needed to look more into how it was burned. So I wanted to go over it again. I wanted to read it again, and then also go over it with you guys, because obviously people down below were asking questions and were confused as well. So now hopefully this clears it up. If you have more questions or you don't understand something, let me know down below. If I don't understand something, let me know down below, and just say howdy for the algorithm. Also, subscribe so you can learn more about NFTs with me, cryptocurrencies. This channel is all about NFTs, cryptocurrencies, digital investments, virtual land. That's all this channel is about. So subscribe so you can see more of that stuff. I'll talk to you later.